Alright, hello everyone, welcome back to my stream and happy Super Bowl Sunday. I will be playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe again today. So yeah, that's what I'll be playing today.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single...
Alright, I'm gonna skip the rest of that because we've all seen that. Well, most people have.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Goal is to find a new ending. So there was something in new content that I didn't get to finish last time I was here because I had to get going.
Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
We went through most of the new content last time I played, which was yesterday when I played. But there was one thing that I didn't get to finish that I wanted to see what the ending might have been for that.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this Ultra Deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this Ultra Deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever, the Stanley Parable 2.
I didn't go dark last time. This part's not new, but or maybe it did. I don't remember.
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for. Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
So if you're interested in any of this part, you can go watch my last video. My last video has everything except for this one part right here.
It's just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement. All right, have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now?
I didn't get to see this ending, which is why I wanted to come back. But yeah, if you're interested in the rest of the content, you're more than welcome to go watch my last video.
What do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay, are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2. I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on.
Let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up.
I do like the red theme, though.
Go ahead. Take a look.
Ooh, new title screen. That's fun. The red makes it feel more ominous and not horror, but just more like spooky.
This is the story of a man named
Does it change
Stanley.
this part at all?
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor at his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
I didn't know if it being
And then
Stanley
one day,
Parable
something
2
very
would
peculiar
change
happened.
anything? Okay, so that
Something that
changed.
would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened. This complete isolation.
It doesn't look
Something
like
was very clearly wrong.
changed anything in the
Shocked,
beginning.
frozen solid,
as of right now.
Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office. All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
The bucket's here.
Stanley picked up the bucket.
And now the new content door is closed. Interesting.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
We're
This
gonna
was
go
not
right
the correct
today.
way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling
Let's
to
see
him,
what we can
telling him
find.
that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it true. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
Which way should I go? Because I've been this way and I've been this way, but I've not been with the bucket. So I'm going to go this way right now.
No, said the bucket. Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Go there. Go to the cargo lift.
Ah, I can get the figurine. I don't want to fall.
You found one of
Yay!
them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done.
Yep.
You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
No, I agree. It's just the fact that I did it. That's what's so exciting. I guess now we go through the vent. Ah. Interesting. This is new. I haven't seen this yet, and I wonder if this is only accessible with the bucket.
Okay, this is day number 295. Take number... I don't even know. I've lost track. Nothing feels real anymore. The longer I study this bucket, the less sense anything makes. The sheer euphoria I feel every time I pick it up. No matter how many times I've done it, it's always the same feeling. And the emptiness in my chest when I set it down. It doesn't make sense. There's no explanation for it. Still haven't figured out why I see the world so differently when this bucket is in my arms.
This
Why
is pretty funny.
everything feels so... What do I do with this treasure? I can monetize it. Yes. It's unthinkable the amounts of money people will pay for even just an hour with the bucket. This is my golden ticket. But I have to be careful, because as soon as this gets out, there's going to be a target on my back. Even now, I don't know who might be trying to get... What's that? Who's there?
That's so scary so fast. That scared the literal bejeebers out of me when it started making that noise. That was it? Oh my gosh, that was terrifying. I've never seen or heard that
All of
ending
his
before.
co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
I'm gonna go do the
Perhaps he
same
had
thing
simply
without
missed
the
a memo.
bucket. So we'll see. Same thing without the bucket.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow, yes, this room. But
It's
eager
like
to get
the
back to
bucket is
business,
like the
Stanley
ring
took
from
the
Lord of the
first open
Rings.
door on his left.
That's what it makes me think of.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
I gotta see what happens again. Hold on, I'm gonna...
Stanley had now gotten himself so far off the beaten path that it seemed the office had begun. That
scared me too.
You didn't think I was actually just a recording, did you? What a silly and trite explanation that would be. All the back and forth between you and me, all the absurd adventures we've been through, and it all turns out I'm just a tape recording? It was all just in Stanley's head. I bet that's the kind of twist you think is revelatory. I bet each and every time you watch a movie where it turns out all to be in the main character's imagination, you must absolutely bolt off the couch in pure shock at the phenomenal and intricate storytelling. It must be so simple to be you. Life being an unending waterfall of surprises and delights. How much more exciting you must find the world than the rest of us do. Now I've become sad. Look what you've done to me. This is all your fault.
The one with the bucket by far was significantly scarier. Yeah, it really does remind me of The Ring. from Lord of the Rings.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had... Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Oh, this is new. Trust the completionist instinct. Ooh, this is spookier too. But we know small floating objects have appeared across the office. We have a synergized research to ensure they're. Oh, how can you tell you've spotted one? What makes them float in the air? Who took these pictures of them? True. Follow clues provided by employee 416. We can do it. Red room question mark. There will be a reward for finding them all. Thank you. Good luck. And it's messier this time. It's spilled. It's all about the figurines. How can we find them? I didn't see that one part. There are many questions. There was no memo from management. That was the one I missed. Interesting. The new content's fun.
Coming to a staircase,
up or down, that's
Stanley and the
question.
bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Up or down? I'm gonna go down. Oh, there's one. Yay!
Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, you know, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini stands? Stanley figs? Or what about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
Oh, this is the repeating one. Oh, I hate that storyline. But let's see if it's with the bucket. It
But
takes
Stanley
so
just
long.
couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then, something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically
I just
grounding
realized the
presence
bucket's
of his
gone.
bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. Now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me, the bucket.
Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
Come to me, Stanley. Find me.
He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along.
That's so true.
It was
Bucket is
incredibly
inside
painful.
of all of us.
Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out.
That one was super new as well. I hadn't seen that one either. So many
This
different
is the story
endings.
of a woman named Mariella.
Well, that's
Mariella
new.
woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
And she backflipped all the way to work. That's hilarious. Just constantly backflipping. That's pretty funny. Now we start over again. If there's anybody on, anybody in the chat,
were gone.
let me know where I should go
What could it mean?
next.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
Bucket
Perhaps
or
he
no
had simply
bucket?
missed a memo.
I'm
The
thinking
confusion
bucket.
and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his
Actually, I'm
chest
gonna go through the right
and
door this
entered
time.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Well, no, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
Can't get over the tape
said the
recording
bucket.
one.
Don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else. The cargo lift, yes. Good,
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But
Kinda
Stanley
leave it on
chose
there,
not to
though.
think about this obvious fact. He was
I'll
firmly
follow the
convinced that the
bucket's
bucket had
instructions
spoken
today.
to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
In here.
Said the bucket.
Go into this dark room over here.
Stanley once again obeyed blindly.
Well, okay. I don't like dark rooms, but you know. Oh gosh, that scared the bejeebers out
Now
of me.
pick up the phone.
Said the bucket.
Oh, I'm washed out in that.
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
Hello, Stanley. It's me, your bucket. Press Z to take me to work with you. Wait, hold on. I'm gonna explore just for one more sec. Oh, okay. There's nothing else to explore.
The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head.
Press N to take me back home with you.
Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me.
Press G to go back to work.
Well, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen
I
to
think
me.
the room
It's just a
got
bucket.
shorter.
It can't think, it can't talk. All it would ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location. That's it. It doesn't do anything else.
Don't listen to the loud man. Press U for us to go back home.
You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know,
ominous
once
music.
upon a time, it was me he took orders from. Me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket. His stupid hunk of metal.
Press V to ignore anyone in your life except for me.
It's sad. I suppose he doesn't need me anymore. From now on, he's just going to cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket does have a nice shine to it.
You believe I'm real, don't you, Stanley? Press R to go back home.
Yes, I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store bucket. It's just a little more, what am I trying to say? Sturdier, more capable of transporting liquid. Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another.
Should I do a voice for the bucket? I don't know what voice the bucket would have other than the one he did, like, press G to reveal the same day with me. Or to relive, my bad. The same day with me over and over. Personally, that would not be my cup of tea, but oh gosh.
God, what am I saying? Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
Press V to go home to work. No, I can't do it. I can't do it. Press V to go home to work. To home, to work, to home. So is it just gonna, like, flash?
I'm having feelings for the bucket. No. What's going on? Why do I want to be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has to say. Do anything it asks. What's wrong with me? I don't understand. Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing.
It's like a romantic
The
date
bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation. Stanley, give me the bucket. Give it to me. Give me the bucket, Stanley. I need it. Give it to me now. Give it, or I'll...
Go back to work, Stanley. That one was weird. At the end, it seemed like the bucket wanted you to, you know. With the candles, it looked like a romantic evening.
I can't wait to tell this story to my co-workers, Stanley thought. How amusing they'll find it. Oh, won't we all just laugh and laugh at the time I thought everyone had gone missing.
Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his... This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee
endings
was simply the
are more
place to
interesting,
be.
I
And
think,
here it was.
and
Had the bucket
spookier.
turned
Not
out
like
to be
scary,
correct?
but
Well,
like,
no,
ooh,
never
like
mind.
just
The
ominous.
bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room.
No,
Said the bucket.
Now I'm gonna
don't
drop
go
off
to the meeting
lift
room.
and
Go
see what
somewhere
happens.
else. The cargo lift, yes. Good.
Said the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was
No,
speaking to
I'm
him.
questioning
It
this
should
time.
have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
Nope, not this time. This time we pave our own paths. We don't listen to the
No,
bucket.
stop. Look there on the wall. You see? There's a sign right there. It says, no buckets past this point.
Aw.
Stanley, how could you think it was okay to bring the bucket here? Unless, what if the problem is that you actually don't know what is a bucket and what isn't a bucket? I suppose that would explain a lot about your behavior up to this point. Which, if that's true, well, my goodness, I think we have to do something about it. This misunderstanding could have dire consequences on the entire rest of the game if not addressed quickly and properly. So much of the impact of the story is dependent on your understanding of what is and isn't a bucket. Please, step in here for a moment.
This is new. It's so dark. Is this a bucket?
Now then,
Like a game show.
I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin.
Is this a bucket?
Item 1. Is this a bucket?
It's not going to be a bucket, I guarantee. But I'm going to say yes.
Incorrect.
Yep.
It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Item 2. Is this a bucket?
I'm gonna go with yes again, because... If there's anyone in the chat, yes or no? I'm gonna go with no.
Correct.
Yeah!
It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket.
Which could still be a bucket, but that's okay.
Item 3. Is this a bucket?
Yes, this one is a bucket. Yes!
This is a bucket.
We're doing good.
Item 4. Is this a bucket?
Well, I can say for certain this isn't a bucket, but I feel like if I hit no, it's gonna be wrong. But I'm gonna say no.
Correct.
Ah.
This is a tractor and not a bucket. To be honest, I just sort of put this one in here as a gimme, but I was starting to get concerned that even this might be too much for you.
It's too much.
Thank you for not making me look like an idiot. Okay, next one. Is this a bucket?
It's not a bucket, but it's gonna be yes. I'm gonna say no. Oh.
Incorrect. This is a bucket.
Yes, so true. It's a bucket. Oh, how could I have gotten that wrong? Who could have gotten that wrong?
Item 6. Is this a bucket?
I'm gonna go with yes, this is a bucket.
Trick question. Both. Gotcha.
It's a bucket, yet not a bucket. Okay.
Item... Wait, hold on. I
I
can't
need to
find the
know
next one. Let
how
me
it's
see.
a
Should be
bucket,
around
yet
here
not a
somewhere.
bucket at the same time. What? No?
Yes.
Yay.
Thank you. There's nothing here. Of course it isn't a bucket. We both know full well that nothing isn't a bucket. Wait, when I say nothing isn't a bucket, that makes it sound like I'm saying everything is a bucket, which of course is not true. Unless, is that what you think? Answer me straight, Stanley. Are you trying to tell me that you believe everything is a bucket?
Yes, everything is a bucket. Everything
You know
is
what?
a bucket.
I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence. And yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is?
It's
Am
hard to
I
say.
A bucket?
Who could know?
Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself,
I think
and
he's a
myself was
bucket,
all I
too.
ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship
Let's go with
apart.
yes.
I can't have that. I'm sorry.
He's a bucket.
But I'm going to erase all buckets from
No!
Okay, here we go.
No, I didn't know that's what I was gonna do. The consequences of my actions.
What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket. My God, I had no idea. How could... Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets.
Wonderful news.
Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what, I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But
What
if you
is
run into
everything?
anyone else, maybe don't mention that.
It's
Who knows
everything.
what that information might do to a person.
All the
All right,
storylines?
here we go.
Will it still say Stanley Parable 2? I mean, I won't know until I get off the game, but you get what I'm saying.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
So the bucket is here.
Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
I should maybe start doing more endings without the bucket. This I can't get over. Trust the completionist instinct. To complete every single ending, is that what it means? We'll go up to our boss.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
I think I saw a picture. Yes, figurine.
Okay, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlers. What do you think, Stanley? What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by 1? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
Because the boss knows that what the boss says goes, if the boss has suffered losses, then that's what the boss chose. Alright. I wish you could see yourself in that mirror. That would be fun. I'm shocked this door's still open. Ah, there it goes. Let's go here first. Look for some figurines. I think this elevator goes to nowhere. Because I've tried this ending before, and I think it goes to nowhere. Why is that glowing so much? I'm pretty sure that's what's happening. I'm pretty sure I just stand in here for a while. But it's got some pretty good elevator music. The singing's new. The singing wasn't here last time. From lightly in the background. Let me see if up goes anywhere. No. Alright, let's try up, and then I'm pretty sure this doesn't go anywhere, it's just music. Alright, that's enough dancing for one stream. Time to continue. It's pretty catchy though. I was thoroughly enjoying that music.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him, always.
It's like I can do something right here, but...
And he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion
What is that
the pin number for the keypad was 2845.
2845.
But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Oh, another figurine!
You're getting close now, Stanley.
Yay.
You've nearly gotten all of the Figler Anlerines. Very soon,
Figler
you'll collect the last
Anlerines.
one. And then the first number
Say
will
that 10
equal
times
the
fast.
second number, and that will be it. We'll be different people by then. Different in the sense that we used to have none of them. And now we have them all. You can't go back to when you had no Figler Anlerines. None of
Figler
us can.
and Lorines. Say Figler and Lorines 10 times fast. Figler... I can't even say it once. Figler and Lorines. Figler and Lorines. Can't say that 10 times fast. Yeah, it's hard to even say once, let alone 10 times. I enjoy this game a lot more than I expected to as
plummeting
well.
towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine.
Oh my goodness gracious. That doesn't seem very safe.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control
Yes, let's
Facility.
go to the mind control facility today. No going back now. But at least I have the bucket to keep me calm. Because without the bucket, I'd be losing my mind.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
Making my way downtown on this metal bridge. Something more music. Yeah.
The monitors jumped to life,
Where's
and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock.
427, is that what we are?
Everyone in the office was being videotaped,
There's our
monitored like
office.
guinea pigs.
Look at
The bucket
us.
had never seen anything like
What is
this, and it
that?
very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
You gotta make sure the bucket is reassured so that it can also reassure us. This is a two-way street.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish
There's
to do?
us.
What kinds of
There
things
we
does
are.
a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first
Found
place?
us.
These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind.
Let's go.
No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His
Fire,
own life
fire.
in someone else's control.
I hadn't noticed that
Never!
before.
He squeezed the bucket tighter. His one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
Tomorrow I'll be playing. Oh my. Where am I? Oh, there we go. Tomorrow I'll be playing
here was
Jedi
the proof.
Survivor.
The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human
I wish I
life.
could press that red button.
For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the
What is
bucket,
that
up
button
against
up
the
there?
world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking
Can't even
down
see.
the system.
True. You gotta take down the system. The system is bad. System's bad. No mind control for me, thank you. Taking down the system. That's awesome. Oh, what is this button? I thought it would do something. That's why I tried to get to that button up there. But it doesn't seem to do anything. This part's so dark.
When at last they came to the source of the room's power, Stanley and the bucket knew it was their obligation to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
I'm tempted to turn it on though. If there's anyone in the chat or anyone watching, on or off. I kind of want... I'm going to turn it on. I haven't seen that ending. I think I turned it off without the bucket once, but I haven't seen it
But
on.
at the last second, the bucket jumped in and pressed the button to turn on
Oh,
the
it was the
controls.
bucket.
Stanley gasped in horror. Had this been the bucket's plan all along? To take over the machine and claim the power for itself?
Oh, no.
How could the bucket have
No.
betrayed him like this? Stanley was prepared
I am
to throw the
truly
bucket
betrayed.
away in disgust when suddenly an image appeared upon the enormous screen. Birds. Silly.
Silly birds.
The control buttons
Silly
became
birds.
active again.
Let's have them fly like... Oh, parrots.
Stanley flipped through one
Flamingos.
video of silly birds after another, and then it dawned on him. This wasn't a mind control facility at all. It was a facility for monitoring and surveilling silly birds all over the world. The mind controls were only a facade to disguise its true intentions.
Oh, those birds
Had
are
the
so
bucket known this all
pretty.
along? Stanley marveled at the metal genius in his
That's
hands.
so pretty.
The one who had pointed him towards this incredible discovery.
Whoa.
Stanley and the bucket never found freedom
That's
because
so
they spent the rest of
cool.
their
What is
lives here
that?
in this place, flipping through live streams of the silliest birds imaginable. Of all the possible paths his life could have taken, this one was surely the best. And Stanley was happy.
So cool. This is actually fun. I'm enjoying watching these videos of birds. Aww. I was having a good time watching the videos of birds. It's okay.
Even now, Stanley's office was a distant memory. What did it look like? There was a computer, perhaps, and a painting.
What can
Was
I
it
do
a
without the
painting
bucket
or
still?
a photo? He could no longer recall.
Let's go without the bucket this time. Let's go
When
to the
Stanley
right.
came to a set of two open doors,
Remember
this
that
was
room
not
we
the
couldn't
correct way
enter
to the
with the
meeting
bucket?
room,
Let's
and
enter
Stanley knew
without
it
the
perfectly
bucket.
well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Stanley felt lightheaded, butterflies in his stomach. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Nope. Oh, that's one thing we can do with the bucket next.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Fired. It sounded
Look,
like
Stanley,
he says.
I think perhaps
I've
we've
never read
gotten
the
off
subtitles
on
on
the
that
wrong
part,
foot
and it
here.
sounds like he says
I'm not
5
sure.
years
Really,
ago.
I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten
Go.
about. What? Really? I was in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why, I don't know how to convince you of this,
All right.
but I really do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me
Now
prove
we've
it.
entered
Let
without
me
the
prove
bucket.
that I'm on your side.
Ooh.
Give me a chance.
And there it is. The
The
last
last
Stiggly Wiggly.
Stiggly Wiggly.
Savor this moment, Stanley.
Instead of figure
this
and the
is
rings.
a real accomplishment. This is doing something just for the sake of doing it. Where so many people expect to be rewarded for the most trivial achievements, you've insisted that a job well done is its own reward.
Sorry, y'all, I'm
I
sleepy.
would tell you that I'm proud of you for collecting them all, but that would be like a reward, and we can't have that. So, instead I'll just say,
No rewards.
it's done. We're all done here. And now we can go to whatever the hell you were doing before you hunted for figurines.
So I had been through this part previously,
Now listen carefully, this is important.
but there was no figurines.
Stanley
So it looks like you have to
walked through the
unlock
red
the
door.
figurines, which I didn't expect. I'll follow instructions. I'll walk through the red door.
Oh, thank God you are willing to listen to me. Do you see that I really have wanted you to be happy all this time?
And
The
it's
problem
gonna
is all
just-
these choices.
Yep.
The two of us always trying to get somewhere that isn't here. Running and running and running, just
I
the
had a
way you're
feeling.
doing right now. Don't you see that it's killing us, Stanley? I wanted to stop. We would both be so much happier
Bloody
if we
hell.
just stopped. And I think I have a
Just
solution.
stopped.
Here, let
Not
me show
alone.
you.
If everybody just loved each other, that's what we all need to do. We just need to love each other, which is actually true.
What do we want?
I
What
think
are
I've
we looking for?
gotten to this part before,
Here.
and it just does this for like
Oh,
such
it's
a long
beautiful,
time.
isn't it? If
We'll
we
watch it
just
for a
stay
minute.
right here, right in this moment with this place,
Oh,
Stanley,
I'm so sleepy.
I think I feel happy. I actually feel happy.
It is pretty. I'll give him that. That's weird. Nope. No. That's so blurry. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Nope.
No, wait. Where are you going?
Away from here.
Oh,
Oh, not this part
Stay
again.
away from those stairs. If you hurt yourself, if you die, the game will reset. We'll lose all of this. Please, no, Stanley, let me stay here. Don't take this from me. Please,
I hate
Stanley.
this part.
No!
And it takes so long.
Thank God. You lived. No, what are you doing, Stanley? Please, I'm asking you not to take this away from me. I can't go back to what I was before. If you die, we'll both go back. Why are you doing this?
And jump.
Stanley, let's go
This
back
part
to the
takes
other room.
ages.
Can you do that for me? My
And I love that
God.
it gets slower
Is
each
this really
time.
how much you dislike my
That
game?
cracks me up.
But you'll throw yourself from this platform over and over to be rid of it? You are literally willing to kill
Probably 'cause his
yourself to
legs are
keep me
broken.
from being happy.
Maybe he's
Am I
crawling up
reading
the
situation
stairs.
correctly?
And jump.
Or maybe you're just getting a
And
kick
it's
out of
so slow
it. I
again.
don't know anymore. I just wanted us to get along.
The narrator gets
But I
so
guess that
depressed.
was too much to ask. It looks like you wanted to make a choice
So
after
sad.
all. Well, this one is yours.
Here we go. Maybe this is the last time. This game's endings are so fun and so different.
Is it over?
There we go.
It's going to restart, isn't it?
It's over.
I'm going back.
We've ended it. It's done. It's done and it's over. And that's all we can do. We have to end it at some point. Oh, the balloons are gone. Where'd the balloons go? Does that mean the bucket's gone? Whoa. This is new.
Stanley, I'm sorry, but I have to put a pause on
That
things.
was
It's just,
trippy.
it's those figurines, those figglers. I haven't stopped thinking about them since you nabbed every last
That
one.
was so trippy.
Wasn't it just the most intrinsically fulfilling moment of your entire life? Didn't it fill you to the brim with inner richness? Yes, I know we're supposed to be telling a story, but won't you please indulge me with one more trip back to the memory zone?
Sure.
I would love nothing more than to revisit the figurines.
Let's go.
Just one more time.
I love the figurines. Let's do this. I'm in this with you, Mr. Narrator Man. I guess that's his name probably is Mr. Narrator Man. This is different this time. Can I go through these doors? No, just down the stairs. That's new. I have a lot of fun with this game.
Here's where it all began. The first collectible.
The
Back
first
then, we had
one.
no idea of how many of them we'd find. Sure, it said 6 right there on the screen, but how could we know for certain?
It did indeed say 6.
We were so innocent. We'll never be like that again, Stanley.
Can we grab this one? 7! That's cool to look at. That's pretty. Makes me want to fall asleep. I originally started gaming. Well, I've gamed for a long time. I love games. Oh, this is new too.
And here
Another
was a
figurine.
second Stanlerine. You found this one all on your own, just by poking around in the warehouse. You
Where do we
did
go
that,
now?
Stanley. I'll be honest. Back then, I had no faith in you to find any of them, let alone 6.
Do we
But
go
you
back?
continue to surprise me in all sorts of mundane, unremarkable ways.
No, we gotta go forward. What was that noise? It was like a doo-doo. I guess we gotta go through the vent. That's the only way. Oh! Well, that's fun.
Okay, let's do a little
Understairs,
quiz.
boss's bathroom.
Which of these rooms was the room you found your third mini stand? Can you remember?
Ooh. I'm gonna go under stairs. I don't remember. I think it was under the stairs. Yay, another
Hey,
one.
that's exactly right. It
Yay.
was here, under the stairs. It was the third one. You picked it up, and then after that, you had 3
We're
of them.
doing it, guys.
I'm glad these moments are so crystal clear in your memory, but I shouldn't be surprised.
Huh.
After all, science tells us that it's impossible to forget your third
And I
time
don't think
doing
I can
anything.
go back out. Oh, no. Okay, door appeared. That's
Let's
good.
see, what came next? Oh yes, we found a figure in this
Ooh.
pink room. Oh well, I can't actually
No.
say I remember being
Never
in
been
this
here.
room, but it's here in the memory zone, so it must have happened.
In the memory zone. I originally started playing games on Twitch because I'm unable to work due to a health condition that I have. I'm unable to work right now. But this has been so much fun, and
This
even though I
was
don't
the
get a lot
fifth
of
mini
viewers all the
stand,
time,
and this one was
I
really
have
something special.
so
It was
enjoyed
behind
playing
the
on
boss's
Twitch.
office. I remember it so clearly. In fact, because this one is particularly special to me, I made a little video to commemorate the occasion. Enjoy.
And yeah, if anybody... Oh, we'll watch the video and then I'll get to that. What's that over there? Nothing. It's a mini stand number 5. You found it's behind the boss's office. Thanks for watching. Edited by the narrator, music by the narrator, produced by the narrator. That's
Takes you back, doesn't it? I spent a lot of time making that video, but it was 8 minutes I wouldn't have spent on anything
8 minutes? But it was 8 minutes he wouldn't have spent on anything else. So if anybody has any other game recommendations when they watch this, I would absolutely love to hear them, because I have a lot of free time on my hands right now and would love to try out some new games.
And then, Stanley, then we came to the last collectible, the final figurine, right here by the red and blue doors. This memory is the most distinct and clear in my mind, perhaps because it was the one that happened more recently than all the others. Who can truly say how the mind works? All I know is that this is the moment where you picked up a Figley and I thought to myself, yes, that's all of them. They're all collected. It was a moment unlike any other.
Unlike any other.
Except for the other moments picking up figurines, which it was exactly like.
Now, last time... Oh, it goes to the same thing. Okay, so it doesn't matter which door we go through. I thought it went through a different thing. You are in the present. The past. This is
and
the
then
present.
There was no more.
Oh, I love
because
when
we've
that
caught
so
up to the present moment. Nothing left to do but move onward into the future. Goodbye, memory zone.
Goodbye. Okay.
No, I'm not done. I'm not ready to move on. Stop the loading screen. Isn't there some way we can stay here, keep enjoying these figurines? Let's just go backwards. We'll do the memory zone again from the opposite direction. See how that feels.
Can I get more Stanlerines? More Figla Stanlerines. Is anybody watching the Super Bowl today?
Okay, yes. The room with the red and blue doors.
I can get more.
Remember this. I must say, of all the figurines we looked at in our initial tour of the memory zone, this one is the most distinct and clear in my mind. Let's keep going. I want more.
Yay, I can get even more.
And here's where I made that
That's
video.
Exciting.
Don't you remember the video we watched? Yes.
So good.
I love that video.
Me too. That's a good video. I like
Still
this
don't
pink
remember
room.
the pink room, Stanley. Still no memory of this one. Good
15.
room, though. A solid room.
I don't know how many you can get max. I wonder how many you can get.
These really were a treat to hunt down. You know, if there had been any kind of reward for finding all of these, it really would have muted the intrinsic joy of collecting them.
Maybe the
I'm
door will
very
open.
glad we resisted the temptation.
Oh, there we go.
Next one.
Maybe I can this time go to the bathroom. Like, because this was... Yeah, maybe I can go this way now. No, there's nothing this direction. Back up the stairs.
This was our
Another
second
one.
Figley. Don't you remember? Yes, I remember it too.
17.
The past is truly a wonderful thing. Why does anyone ever choose to
Back
leave
into
it?
the memory
Keep
room.
going. This is it. The very first one we found in the exhibit where I introduced you to the figurines.
We have 18
I
now.
want more memories, Stanley. I want to keep going. What else is there? What came before this?
I do really wonder how many you can get total. Oh. Oh, it's in the new content room. That's cool. The jump circle. Yes, I love the jump circle.
It's the terrible new content that we were originally sold on. I remember hating it back then. The time does put
Why
a
is that
rosy filter
so
on everything.
satisfying?
In fact, I dare
Probably
say
because
I'm
we can't
actually
jump
quite
any other
fond
time
of
in the
it
game.
now. Look how much fun the past is. Oh yes, the two doors. Who could have forgotten that? A classic memory, this
Who
one.
could have forgotten that? It probably doesn't matter which door I go. No, it doesn't.
And
now
before
we're back in our
everything else,
office.
there was your office. Is there anything else? Was there something that came before your office?
I don't think so.
There's something I feel I can remember. I can remember.
And that's the end.
Yes,
No, I'm just kidding.
I'm remembering something now. I remember before this whole story got started. Back then I was different. I used to make big decisions. I was passionate. I was skeptical. I weighed each decision with profound thoughtfulness. And then somewhere along the way, I stopped making decisions. I became lazy, and I came up with a character named Stanley to do my thinking for me. He would make the decisions, he would decide which way to go. I would cheer him on as he collected figurines for no reason. Why did I invent Stanley? Was I lonely? Yes, perhaps that's it. Perhaps I needed to imagine I had companionship. And Stanley really did make for a wonderful companion, even if he was a fiction. But
I'm not real.
I suppose it's grown old. I want to think for myself again. I want to go back to how it used to be. Yes, I can be on my own again. I can do it. I'll be stronger this time. I'll take care of myself. I don't need Stanley anymore. Oh, but he truly was so much fun to play with. You know what? Since we're in the memory zone, how about one more good memory? Let's go back just once and give Stanley one more run of the office, and then I'll retire him for good.
Oh.
I did enjoy telling this story so very much.
He's killing us off. He's
Okay.
killing off our character.
Here we go. This
Let's
is
go.
the story of a man named Stanley.
Or maybe not? Well, the balloons are back.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Okay.
Stanley
One last
decided to go to the
storyline with
meeting
the
room.
bucket, and I
Perhaps
think
the
I'm gonna
good
hop
old
off.
bucket. Just Stanley and the bucket. Off on another thrilling adventure together. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly
Let's
to his
go this
chest
way.
and entered the door on his lab. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be.
No.
And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be
Now
correct?
let's go
Well, no,
left through the
never
door
mind.
this time.
The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
Let's take the lift. I don't know if I've done this one even without the bucket yet. It's hard to remember what you've done with and without the bucket because there's so many different
Good
endings
Stanley.
that you
I'm
can
glad
find.
you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually.
Oh, definitely haven't done this. We care about you, Stanley. It's an intervention.
You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about
These
you
are all my
very
friends.
much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure
Cardboard
Line and the
baby.
Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it.
True.
Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes,
Oh, fun.
that's what the fans want. Let's
Here
do
we
it.
go.
Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well.
See if we can follow it.
Now this is what the Stanley
was it?
Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Also, Stanley's addicted to drugs and hookers.
Yes, it's as classic
It's
now
so
as it was
true.
back then. Let's do it for the
Classic
fans,
Stanley.
Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this.
Classic
But
Stanley
if we
being
want to
addicted
do
to
that,
drugs and
you're going
hookers.
to have to give something up.
Stanley has to sell the bucket for drugs and
Don't you get it,
hookers.
Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character.
No,
This is the Bucket Destroyer.
there's no way out.
I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree?
No.
Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you.
It's quite clear.
Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready.
Is there anything else, like any other option?
Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The broom closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and...
Well, I guess we've died. We have exploded. Oh. It sounds like Halo. It sounds exactly like Halo.
My prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do
And with
such
the glow.
marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend.
It sounds
For
just
the
like
moment
Halo.
in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
Is that the Halo song? It can't be. I mean, they would have had to have permission to use it, and it sounds just like Halo. I just finished Halo Infinite on my Xbox recently, and that was a good game. Highly recommend. Alright, well, I think I'm going to call it there for today. We'll probably continue some more storylines at some point. I don't know if I'll set a specific time to play the Stanley Parable, but my VODs will always be posted. So if anybody wants to go and watch through any of the other endings that I found so far, those will be on my page. And thank you everybody for watching.